hold on. Okay, it's been 6 months since I've done a book haul video, an unboxing, anything like that. And before you get mad at me for the amount of books you're gonna see here, just keep in mind, this is 6 months worth of books. So I don't know what number you saw in the title, but I assume it's somewhere around 60 books. And that is like an average of 10 books a month, which is pretty low key for me. So let's start. Because this is 6 months worth of books, most of them have been opened already, but there are 11 packages to be opened. Some of these have been sitting in my office since like the beginning of December, and I don't know where I found the strength to not open them, but I did. Ouch, Jesus Christ. First, okay. So I got The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King and The Songbird and the Heart of Stone. Have I read Serpent and the Wings of Night yet? No, I haven't. Not yet. But now I have the other two. So that's great. I will be getting to these books relatively soon. I'm gonna keep doing what someone asked me to do in the first unboxing video, and I'll put hardbacks here, paperbacks here. Because there are so many books here to talk about, I'm not going to go into synopses of really popular books that everyone knows. The big fantasy books, the big romantasy, whatever you want to call it, I'm not going over synopses because it would just waste everyone's time. So there are gonna be a few books in here that aren't gonna seem like my type of book. There are a few books from a certain genre in here that might confuse you, but please know I have a plan in mind, and that plan is a video where I'm forcing myself to read books I don't usually like. Which explains why I have Magnolia Parks. From what I've heard, it's basically Gossip Girl in the UK, and it's a romance book. So keep what I just said in mind, please. There is a video in the works about me reading books that I don't usually like. Well, speak of the devil. Because we have another romance book, and that is, can anyone guess by the color? Funny Story by Emily Henry. I have never read an Emily Henry book, ever. I know that I don't have to read her books in order, so hopefully it's okay that I'm starting from zero and going here. What romance book needs to be over 400 pages? Okay. I also got, what are you? I don't remember. Oh, okay. I think that this Pango shop had like a make it to $15 and you get free shipping thing, so I chose another book from their store. And apparently I chose The Mere Wife by Maria Devana Headley, which based on the synopsis is definitely a Beowulf retelling. From the perspective of those who live inside Harrow Hall's highly surveilled walls, it is paradise. Picket fences, gabled buildings, an entirely self-sustained community. Willa, the wife of Roger Harrow, scion of Harrow Hall's founder, flits between playdates, cocktail hours, and dinner parties with her son, Dylan, in tow. Just beyond the suburbs' limits, in a cave in the mountains, lives Gren, short for Grendel, with his mother Dana. A former soldier, Dana didn't want Gren, but when she returned from war, there he was. And when a growing, adventurous young Gren runs off with Dylan, he sets up a collision between Dana and Willa's worlds that echoes the epic tale of Beowulf and gives sharp, startling currency to the ancient poem. I haven't read Beowulf since I was in like 5th grade, maybe, so that's gonna be interesting. I wonder if I should read Beowulf again before I read this. A fucking rushing nesting doll of packaging. We are getting right into all of these right off the rip because this is the 3rd book I have purchased for forcing myself to read romance when I don't like it. This one is The Love Hypothesis by Allie Hazelwood. We're not going to talk too much about that. Just know I own it now and there's a video on its way. How the this is Fort Knox. I've been unwrapping this for like 10 minutes and all I've taken off so far is tape. Oh my god, I have packing shit all over me. Jesus. Why did that take 45 minutes? Again, for this video down the road, I have Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Next up is My Last Continent by Midge Raymond. It is only at the end of the world, among the glacial mountains, cleaving icebergs, and frigid waters of Antarctica, where Deb Gardner and Keller Sullivan feel at home. For the few blissful weeks they spend each year studying the habits of Emperor and Adelie penguins, Deb and Keller can escape the frustrations and sorrows of their separate lives and find solace in their work and each other. But Antarctica, like their fleeting romance, is tenuous, imperiled by by the world to the north. A new travel and research season has just begun, and Deb and Keller are ready to play tour guide to the passengers on the small expedition ship that ferries them to their destination. But this year, Keller fails to appear. Then Deb's ship receives an emergency signal from the Australis, a cruise liner that has hit desperate trouble in the Southern Ocean. Soon Deb's role will change from researcher to rescuer. Among the crew of that sinking ship is Keller. Next in here is Other Birds by Sarah Addison Allen. This woman comes to claim her deceased mother's apartment, and she meets her quirky, enigmatic neighbors, each with their own story, each with their own longings, each whose ending isn't written. When one of her new neighbors dies under odd circumstances the night Zoe arrives, she's thrust into the mystery of the Delawisp, which involves missing pages from a legendary writer whose work might be hidden there. Many unfinished stories permeate the place. The people around her are in as much need of healing from wrongs of the past as she is. To find their way, they have to learn how to trust one another, confront their deepest fears, and let go of what haunts them. So this is a general fiction with some magical realism, I guess? And then I have Latitudes of Longing by Shibari Swarup. The novel sweeps across India from an island to a valley, a city, and a snow desert to tell a love story of epic proportions. We follow a scientist who studies trees and a clairvoyant who speaks to them, a geologist working to end futile wars over a glacier, octogenarian lovers, a mother struggling to free her revolutionary son, a yeti who seeks human companionship, a turtle who transforms first into a boat and then a woman, and then the ghost of an evaporated ocean as restless as the continents. Binding them all together is a vision of life as vast as the universe itself. Whoa. What do you mean? I read that 5 seconds ago and I don't really know what I just read and what we're talking about. I want to read about a yeti who seeks human companionship. Sorry, books. Okay, the last Pango box. Oh. Are you okay? Sorry. I have Dead Silence by S.A. Barnes. It's a sci-fi horror. I also have Ghost Station by S.A. Barnes. Claire Kovalik is days away from being unemployed when her beacon repair crew picks up a strange distress signal. With nothing to lose and no desire to return to Earth, Claire and her team decide to investigate. What they find is shocking. The Aurora, a famous luxury space liner that vanished on its maiden tour of the solar system more than 20 years ago. A salvage claim like this could set Claire and her crew up for life. But a quick search of the ship reveals something isn't right. Whispers in the dark, flickers of movement, messages scrawled in blood. Claire must fight to hold on to her sanity and find out what really happened on the Aurora before she and her crew meet the same ghastly fate. Ghost Station, I imagine, is going to be similar? Dr. Ophelia Bray is a psychologist who's dedicated her life to the study and prevention of ERS, Eckert-Reiser syndrome, the most famous case of which resulted in the brutal murders of 29 people. When she's assigned to a small exploration crew who recently suffered the tragic death of a colleague, she wants to help. But as they begin to establish residency on an abandoned planet, it becomes clear that the crew is hiding something. Her crew is more interested in investigating the eerie ancient planet and unraveling the mystery behind the previous colonizers' hasty departure than opening up to her. Then their pilot is discovered gruesomely murdered. Is this a wave of mental deterioration from ERS, or is it something even more sinister? Really excited to try sci-fi horror. The next two from that last box are for all of you in my comments who ignored me when I said, hey, maybe graphic novels aren't for me. You guys didn't want to hear that, and I understand. I get it. I had a lot of suggestions in my comments for which graphic novels might work for me if the one that I tried already did not work. And I ignored all of your suggestions. I ignored everything that anyone said. And I ordered two that I thought maybe would work. And the first is from the Grishaverse, Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo, which goes along with Shadow and Bone. And the Shadow and Bone trilogy, I don't really care about. Six of Crows, Crooked Kingdom, King of Scars, Rule of Wolves, yes, love those with my entire heart. Original Shadow and Bone, not so much. So maybe I'll like it better as a graphic novel, actually. We'll try it. We'll see. And then the second one, which I can't imagine I will not love, is The Walking Dead. Are you f***ing kidding me? Okay, it's The Walking Dead book 4. I got book 4. Okay, I got The Walking Dead book 4. So I f***ed up. I guess I'm gonna have to go back and buy book 1. Hopefully I like book 1, so then I can buy book 2 and 3, so then I can finally read book 4, which I bought with, god damn it. Next up, I got Beyond Words, What Animals Think and Feel by Carl Safina. I am a big wildlife nature reader. One of my favorite books of all time since I was like 4 years old has been Born Free by Joy Adamson, which is a story about her life in Africa with lions. I am obsessive with Jane Goodall, with Steve Irwin, and I'm generally a big reader of nature stories, adventure, wildlife. The past year, I haven't been reading it, and I think it's because I've been so focused on this channel. Well, okay, that's not fair. Everything got put to the wayside because I was so sick for so much of last year, but especially put to the wayside is how much I love to read about nature, wildlife, conservation, that kind of stuff. So I got Beyond Words, What Animals Think and Feel, which is Carl Safina's landmark book that offers an intimate view of animal behavior and to challenge the fixed boundary between humans and non-human animals. In Beyond Words, readers travel to Amboseli National Park in the threatened landscape of Kenya and witness struggling elephant families work out how to survive poaching and the pervasive drought, then to Yellowstone National Park to observe wolves sort out the aftermath of one pack's personal tragedy, and finally plunge into the astonishingly peaceful society of killer whales living in the crystalline waters of the Pacific Northwest. These are extraordinary stories of animal joy, grief, jealousy, anger, and love. The similarity between human and non-human consciousness, self-awareness, and empathy calls us to reevaluate how we interact with animals. It's about habitat conservation, poaching, climate change, etc. So I'm very excited to get into that. Oh, shit. I forgot a Pango box. While I'm opening this, I want to give you a little tip. Murphy, come here. Yeah, come here. Yeah, no, come on. Good girl. Up. Okay, go lay down. And I'm not sponsored, but Pango really is an amazing place where you can give money straight back to readers. So, not a sponsor unless Pango would like to be. Hey Pango, if you can... if you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, hire me. Let's collab. Oh no, okay. I didn't realize this box is full. This box is totally full of these little, come on, load. These little handmade paper stars. And I didn't realize it. And I just dumped stars all over myself and all over the floor. It only feels right that in the final Pango box I have 2 more Emily Henry books. Now you have a glimpse into what part of my posting schedule for this year is gonna be. The last 3 boxes are Barnes & Noble pre-orders. Oh, I did it on the first try. Oh, hell yeah. I am perhaps most stoked for this book, and that's Watermoon by Samantha Soto Yembao. This is a brand new release. I think it came out this past week. I'm gonna try and do a quick synopsis of each of these books because there are so many that we're gonna go through. Watermoon is about a pawn shop in Tokyo where you can pawn your life choices and deepest regrets. And I think it's gonna be really, really good. Can I do it again? No. Oh. Okay, another pre-order from December is The Last One by Rachel Housel Hall. I talked about the last one in, I think, a video about books coming out over last summer, because this book was delayed by like 1.5 years by the end of it, and since then, I don't think that I've read anything good about it. So we're just gonna leave that there. Ow! I gave myself a paper cut. The last book to be unboxed is called Private Rights by Julia Armfield, which I know is a horror book. It's been raining for a long time now. So long that the land has reshaped itself and old rituals and religions are creeping back into practice. 3 sisters have not spoken in some time when their father, an architect as cruel as he was revered, dies. His death offers an opportunity for the sisters to come together in a new way. In the grand glass house they grew up in, their father's most famous creation, the sisters sort through the secrets and memories he left behind until their fragile bond is shattered by a revelation in his will. The sisters are more estranged than ever and their lives spin out of control. Irene's relationship is straining at the seams, Isla's ex-wife keeps calling, and cynical Agnes is falling in love for the first time. But something even more sinister may be unfolding. Something related to their mother's long ago disappearance and the strangers who have always seemed unusually interested in the sisters' lives. Soon it becomes clear that the sisters have been chosen for a very particular purpose, one with shattering implications for their family and their imperiled world. So that was all the books that we had to unbox. Next are the 4 stacks of books that have already been opened. How am I gonna do this? Oh, good lord. No! Okay. Okay. Okay, is this the way I should be doing this? I don't think so. I don't think so. Probably not. I got Beneath the Lion's Gaze by Maza Mengiste. This memorable, heartbreaking story opens in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia in 1974 on the eve of a revolution. Hailu, a prominent doctor, has been ordered to report to jail after helping a victim of state-sanctioned torture die. And while one of his sons prays for relief from the violence that has racked his country and his family, the other joins the resistance movement. Emotionally gripping, poetic, and indelibly tragic. Next is Playground by Richard Powers, and if you think that that name sounds familiar, it's the man who wrote the Overstory. Four lives are drawn together when they meet on the history-scarred island of Makatea in French Polynesia, whose deposits of phosphorus once helped to feed the world. Now the tiny atoll has been chosen for humanity's next adventure, a plan to send floating, autonomous cities out onto the open sea. But first, the island's residents must vote to greenlight the project or turn the seasteaders away. Set in the world's largest ocean, this awe-filled book explores that last wild place we have yet to colonize in a still unfolding oceanic game, and interweaves beautiful writing, rich characterization, profound themes of technology and the environment, and a deep exploration of our shared humanity in a way only Richard Powers can. So Richard Powers has won a Pulitzer Prize, and he writes a lot about the natural world and conservation and things along that line. The next two books were sent to me by someone on YouTube whose name is Kim, who I am forever indebted to. She slid into my DMs and told me that she had this special edition copy of The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim, and that she didn't want it anymore, and asked if I wanted her to send me the book. And I said, yeah, can I pay you for it? And she said no. So Kim, I love you. This is one of the most beautiful books that I own. It's got that crazy thing going on there. The sprayed edges are like the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. There's eyeballs on it. It's so creepy. She wrote me a beautiful note. She also sent me a second book called Godless But Loyal to Heaven by Richard Van Camp. And she knows Richard Van Camp. She knows the author. And so she had this copy that she sent to me also, which is just the absolute coolest thing I've ever heard. And hold on, because also she sent me a DVD of one of the craziest looking movies I've ever seen. It's called Repo, the Genetic Opera. Paris Hilton is in it. Alexa Vega, Spy Kids, is in it. Craziest looking thing I've ever seen. I haven't watched it yet because I don't own a DVD player, but I have to get one anyways. I'm gonna be getting one, and so then I get to watch Repo. And she sent this to me saying she's weirdly obsessed with it because her dad worked on the movie. Which, like, Kim, who are you? So this one package, she sent me a beautiful edition of a horror book, this really sick book of stories by an author that she knows personally, and then a DVD of a movie that looks insane that her dad worked on. Kim, I don't deserve you, and I love you. This might have been the craziest package I've ever gotten. Oh, The Eyes Are the Best Part. Without looking, hold on, let me think. This girl, her mom starts dating a white man, and she becomes obsessed with his blue eyes, and then I think she starts eating people's eyeballs. Oh no, we're getting too high. And Godless But Loyal to Heaven is a book of stories that offers a potent mixtape of tropes from science fiction, horror, western, and aboriginal traditions, which sounds great, and apparently it's violent. So thank you, Kim. Again, I don't deserve you. Next, I got Spooky Oregon, which is tales of hauntings, strange happenings, and other local lore. I bought it because it was like $1, and then I came home and I looked it up and it has like 1.5 stars. I also got Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian, which seems to be an epic horror western folktale. I know that a lot of the romance booktube girlies, they're all in their cowboy romance eras, and this seems to be the horror equivalent of that. Oh, next, another crazy box that I received so long ago, but again, I haven't done a book haul video since then. So I got, believe it or not, all of these came in one box, and that is from Jason C. So Jason C, if you're watching this, I also owe you my life. Jason C brought it upon himself to gift me 5 books. Kim Ji-young Born 1982, which I already read and it was incredible. The Last Murder at the End of the World by Stuart Turton. Jason C says, really love your channel and excited for whatever you end up doing. Jason C, what I'm going to end up doing is making a video where I read all the books that you've sent me. So that's exactly what I'm gonna end up doing. Outside the island, there is nothing. The world was destroyed by a fog that swept the planet, killing anyone it touched. On the island, it is idyllic. 122 villagers and 3 scientists living in peaceful harmony. The villagers are content to fish, farm, and feast, to obey their nightly curfew, to do what they're told by the scientists. Until, to the horror of the islanders, one of their beloved scientists is found brutally stabbed to death. And then they learn that the murder has triggered a lowering of the security system around the island, the only thing that was keeping the fog at bay. If the murder isn't solved within 107 hours, the fog will smother the island and everyone on it. But the security system has also wiped everyone's memories of exactly what happened the night before, which means that someone on the island is a murderer and they don't even know it. Sick. And Jason C. also got me the entire Poppy War trilogy, which I know what this is about, and I know that it's going to devastate me, which means that I cannot wait to get into it, but I just know that this is gonna rip my heart out. And I'm excited. Like, I love having my heart ripped out a little bit, but I'm also scared. Next up, we have Beloved by Toni Morrison, which is considered a modern classic. It is a personal failure of mine that I've never read a Toni Morrison book, and so now I will be able to rid myself of that failure. Then I got the Book of Witching by C.J. Cook. Clem gets a call that is every mother's worst nightmare. Her 19-year-old daughter Erin is unconscious in the hospital after a hiking trip with her friends ended in a horrifying accident, leaving her boyfriend dead and her best friend missing. When Eric wakes up, she doesn't remember her mother, and she doesn't answer to her name, but insists she is someone else entirely. Clem travels to the site of her daughter's accident, determined to find out what happened to her. The answer may lie in a dark secret of the area, a woman wrongly accused of witchcraft and murder 4 centuries ago. Clem begins to wonder whether Erin's strange behavior is a symptom of a broken mind or the effects of an ancient curse. Next up is American Rapture by C.J. Lead. A virus is spreading across America, transforming the infected and making them feral with lust. Sophie, a good Catholic girl, must survive the hellscape of the Midwest to try to save her twin brother while the world around her burns. Along the way, she discovers there are far worse fates than dying a virgin. American Gods meets The Last of Us, which sounds great to me, except Neil Gaiman. Next up is The Black Hunger by Nicholas Pullen, which came out in October, and it has good reviews, but not enough people are reading it. The Black Hunger can never be satisfied. John Sackville will soon be dead. Shadows writhe in the corner of his cell as he mourns the death of his secret lover, and as the gnawing hunger inside him grows impossible to ignore. He must write his last testament before it is too late. The story he tells us will take us to the darkest part of the human soul. It is a tale of otherworldly creatures, ancient cults, and a terrifying journey from the stone circles of Scotland to the icy peaks of Tibet. It is a tale that will take us to the end of the world. So I'm gonna be reading this soon, and I suggest that you do too, because that sounds like more people should be reading it. Next is a horror book that I'm really excited about, and that is Slewfoot by Brom, which everyone seems to love so much. And this was sent to me by Manoic. Manoic? I'm so sorry for the horrible pronunciation there. Hi, I've been really loving your channel. Love the book, movie, and TV talk, and your personality. This is one of my favorite horror books, so I hope you'll love it. Love from the Netherlands. Cool. I would love to come visit you, Manoic. So if you want to have a play date, just let me know. Slewfoot by Brom is a beloved horror book about an ancient spirit awakens in a dark wood. The wild folk call him father, slayer, protector. The colonists call him Slewfoot, demon, devil. To Abatha, a recently widowed outcast, alone and vulnerable in her pious village, he is the only one she can turn to for help. Together they ignite a battle between pagan and Puritan, one that threatens to destroy the entire village, leaving nothing but ashes and bloodshed in its wake. And everyone loves this book. I feel left— oh, cool. Look at that art. I feel left out not having read this yet, because absolutely everyone loves this, and I'm really excited to read it. Next is also a book sent to me by a subscriber, which I have— if I haven't made it clear enough, I still really can't believe that that's a thing that ever happens, and my brain can't wrap my head around it. So to everyone, absolutely everyone, thank you for being here and existing with me in this space. And to anyone who has sent me a book, thank you for going above and beyond what is literally ever wanted, needed, assumed of you, and just like making me smile and also cry. Jacob sent me Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. He said, I just want to say I love your channel, love watching your reviews, and I'm I'm so glad to have found you. Keep up the great work. Jacob, you keep up the great work, because it sounds like you are doing an incredible job living your life and existing as a human. I'm not going to explain what this is about, but I am nervous because now I'm one step closer to that video that I'm scared of, which is reading one book from Brandon Sanderson, one book from Stephen King, one from Robin Hobb, and one from Joe Abercrombie. I now have 3 out of 4 of the books that I need for that, because in the last video I was sent Robin Hobb's first book. I was also sent Joe Abercrombie's first book. And now I've been sent Mistborn, so I just need to run out and grab Carrie, and then I can actually make this video that I'm so scared of. Speaking of Joe Abercrombie, next up is The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie, which is the first book in the First Law series, which was so beautifully sent to me by Tiffany, who said, I came across your channel during a massive flare-up. I binged your videos, they were my escape from the chronic pain. Here's a little gift to say thank you. I hope the rest of this year is gentle with you. Tiffany, I'm so sorry. As someone else who is clearly chronically ill, from one chronic illness girl to another, I'm so sorry. I hope all of 2025 is as good for you as is possible, with as little flare-ups as possible. Not sure what exactly you're going through, but it sounds painful, and I wish you nothing but good health and happiness and joy and love for both of us, for all of us, but especially for Tiffany. And thank you, because now I am a step closer from making the video that I am scared to make because I'm scared of these authors. Tiffany, I love you, and I'm here. Next is The 13th Child by Aaron A. Craig, which has insane gold edges. Hazel was the 13th sibling born, and so she was promised to one of the gods. She spent her childhood waiting for her benefactor, Merrick, the god of death, to arrive and take her away. When he does, he lays out her future. She will become a great and celebrated healer. He bestows her with a gift, the ability to instantly deduce the exact cure needed to treat the sick. Well, wouldn't that be nice? But all gifts come with a price. Hazel can see when death has claimed a patient and is tasked with ending their suffering permanently. Haunted by the ghosts of those she's killed, Hazel longs to run, but destiny takes her to the royal court where she meets a rakish prince with a disdain for everyone and everything. And that's where Hazel faces her biggest dilemma yet. Should she save the life of a king marked to die? Hazel knows what she is meant to do and what her heart is urging her towards, but what will happen if she goes against the will of death himself? Next is Strange Beasts by Susan J. Morris, which has a stunning cover, which seems to be about the daughter of Dracula's killer pairing up with the daughter of Moriarty, who is, you know, Sherlock Holmes's nemesis. One of them is a channel into the minds of monsters, and they have to investigate in a race to stop a beast from a killing rampage. So that sounds neat. This feels very Victorian Gothic. Next is The Foxwife by Yang Shi Chu. In the last years of the dying Qing Empire, a courtesan is found frozen in a doorway. Her death is clouded by rumors of foxes, which are believed to lure people by transforming themselves into beautiful women and handsome men. There's a detective that's hired to uncover the dead woman's identity. She's been intrigued by the fox god since childhood. Navigating the myths and misconceptions of fox spirits, two people will encounter old friends and new foes, even as more deaths occur. I also got We Shall Be Monsters by Alyssa Weiss, which is about a girl who lives with her mother in an isolated antique shop near a patch of woods concealing an enchanted gateway to fairyland. Gemma knows she's not supposed to go into the woods. Her mother has warned her multiple times about the monsters that lurk there, and yet she can't resist. Virginia understands her daughter's defiance. She knows the allure of the woods all too well. Her own mother warned her about the monsters, and Virginia also did not listen, until a witch cursed her true love just days before their child's birth. So Virginia will do whatever she can to protect her daughter, even if it means stealing Gemma's memories. And I guess it winds up with Gemma having to venture deep into the mysterious woods to rescue her mother and break the curse. I also have Caraway of the Sea by Madeline Burgett. This is an indie published book that I don't even remember where I heard about it. I might have been searching for pirate books specifically, but anyways, it's mine and it's here now. Caraway has devoted herself to protecting her brother, serving as the ship's first mate and enforcer, sacrificing nearly all she is to ensure that he becomes the most fearsome pirate captain to ever sail the Carnelian Sea. She realizes too late that the seas have only grown darker and the waves more fearsome. They threaten to pull her under completely and mold her into something akin to a nightmare. When they dock on Isla Dahlia after the devastating storm, Caraway is surrounded by both friend and foe, oftentimes unable to distinguish between the two. She must navigate navigate a torrent of emotions unlike anything that she has weathered before. Seeking out any and all distractions, she begins to grow dangerously close to a rival captain despite her brother's warnings. As another storm looms, ever encroaching upon her crew's uncertain future, her fears are laid bare for all to see. Caraway struggles to face the demons of her past, only to discover that they pale in comparison to the monster that she had a hand in creating. I cannot resist pirate shit. The next two books were also sent to me, and these are from Rob. And Rob says, "Be well and tell Egg and the other children I said hello." Rob, your wish is my command. Hello. The two books from Rob are The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet by Becky Chambers, which I am very excited about because I love her— where did they go? I read her books, A Psalm for the Wild Built and a crown for the crown shy? Something for the crown shy. And I'm really excited to get a not novella from her because I love her writing and I love the way that she imagines worlds in general. And this is about a crew that's offered the job of a lifetime the chance to build a hyperspace tunnel to a distant planet. They'll earn enough money to live comfortably for years if they survive the long trip through war-torn space without endangering any of the fragile alliances that keep the galaxy peaceful. There is nothing I love more than sci-fi, I think. I read mostly fantasy, but the highest marks I give are all to sci-fi. And a lot of my favorite books are sci-fi books. And I am really stoked to read this as soon as I physically can. The second book for Rob is called The Snow Child by Eowyn Ivy. Alaska 1920, a brutal place to homestead and especially tough for recent arrivals Jack and Mabel. Childless, they are drifting apart. He struggling to maintain the farm, she crumbling from loneliness and despair. In a moment of levity during the season's first snowfall, they build a child out of snow. The next morning, that snow child is gone, but they glimpse a young girl running through the trees. This little girl, who calls herself Faina, seems to be a child of the woods. She hunts with a red fox at her side and somehow survives in the Alaskan wilderness. Alone. As Jack and Mabel come to understand this child, who could have stepped from the pages of a fairy tale, they begin to love her as their own daughter. But in this beautiful, violent territory, things are rarely as they appear, and what they eventually learn about Faina will transform them all. Rob, you have good taste. So this feels a little magical realism, minorly fairy tale kind of vibes. I'm talking so much that my voice is starting to give, so if my voice starts sounding crazy, I'm sorry. Next I got The Other Valley by Scott Alexander Howard, which is another sci-fi book. This is basically about 3 towns right next to each other, but somehow all the towns are 20 years apart. So 16-year-old Odile lives in the middle town. The town to the east is 20 years ahead in time. The town to the west is 20 years behind in time. The towns repeat in an endless sequence across the wilderness. When Odile recognizes 2 visitors she wasn't supposed to see, she realizes that the parents of her friend Edme have been escorted across the border from the future on a mourning tour to view their son while he's still alive in Odile's present. Edme, who is brilliant, funny, and the only person to truly know Odile, is about to die. Sworn to secrecy in order to preserve the timeline, she finds herself drawing closer to the doomed boy, imperiling her entire future. I also got Forest of Noise by Mossab Abu Toha, which is a book of poetry by an award-winning Palestinian poet. Abu Toha kept writing poems amid the chaos of the current assault on Gaza. Uncannily clear, direct, and beautifully tuned, this collection forms one of the most astonishing works of art wrested from wartime. Here are directives for what to do during an air raid and lyrics about the poet's wife, who sings to their children to distract them. Huddled in the dark with his family, Abu Toha remembers his grandfather's oranges and his daughter's joy in eating them. Moving between glimpses of life in relative peacetime and absurdist poems about surviving in a barely livable occupation, Forest of Noise invites a wide audience into an experience that defies the imagination, even as people are watching the crisis in real time. Abu Toha's poems introduce readers to his extended family, some of whom are no longer with us. This extraordinary, arrestingly whimsical book brings us indelible art in a time of terrible suffering. So if there's any book of poetry to purchase to have a better, more intimate understanding of what is happening right now, I also got Exhalation by Ted Chiang, which is a book of short stories, one of which is the short story that inspired the movie Arrival, which is a perfect movie. A stunning, absolutely perfect, no notes movie, perfect sci-fi wonderland, amazing. And so I get to read it now. Thank you. to me because I bought it. I also bought Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler, another modern classic. I'm really glad that I bought this one because I have been, let's think, over the past 24 hours. In my timeline, today is January 21st. In the past 24 hours since the American inauguration, a lot has happened. And in the past month, with these fires raging in California, a lot has happened. And in the past 2 months since the election, a lot has happened. And in the past, I don't even know how many number of years, a lot has happened. And in the midst of all that, I have been informed that Octavia E. Butler essentially told the future with this book. She talks about fires in 2025 during a fascist regime. There's apparently a lot that she basically got spot on. So I'm gonna have to read that soon so I know what the fuck we're in for the remainder of, I don't know, my life. And then another one of the exceptionally incredible, beautiful, magical subscribers that I have on here, who I'd like to think of as a friend, has sent me 3 thick-ass Robin Hobb books, the last of which is 900 pages. This is insane. Tari, you're insane. She wrote me a note. I don't even know how to talk about this without crying. She hand wrote me a note in which she acknowledges that I don't have to read these anytime soon because my TBR is psychotic already. Tari, you are correct. But she wanted to send me her favorite trilogy within her favorite book series of all time. May these special characters make homes in rooms of your heart too. So she's also a poet. Your channel brings a breath of fresh air and an important voice to the space, and you deserve all the growth and success I know you'll see. Thank you for your magical, funny, silly, vulnerable, unhinged, and brave content. You are making the world a little bit better through it. I think that you are giving me entirely too much credit. I don't even know how to respond to that. I am simply happy to be at home here amongst other people who love books in the way that I love books. Tari, I'm not gonna give out your location on the internet, but just know I'm coming to visit you at some point. I was there. I'm not gonna say that. That might give away your location. I'm coming to visit you at some point. Let me just say, my TBR might be psychotic, but you are a little insane too. Thank you, Tari. I'm excited. I'm scared. You know that I'm terrified of this book series. I also went to a local used bookstore a few months ago, 2 months ago, and I got 3 books about myths from around the world, which I'm so excited about, and this is really cool. So the first is called Africa, Myths and Legends. I got Hawaiian Myths of Earth, Sea, and Sky, accompanied by the illustrations of Hawaii artist Marilyn Kahalewai. Apologies if I mispronounced that. And African Myths by the editor is Jake Jackson. The last one in here that is from someone on YouTube. This came about in a little bit of a different way. I commented on, I want to say it was a video from Sid Bookworm, and I said something about how I really wanted to read The Measure, but I couldn't convince myself to buy it because the cover is so ugly. And I stand by that. But someone in the comments said, hey, I have an extra copy of the book. And that's Heather. So my new best friend Heather goes, hey, I have an extra copy of the book. Do you want me to send it to you? And I said, hell yeah, I want you to send it. Yeah, sure. If you don't want it, if you don't need it anymore, absolutely. And so we talked for a little bit, and then she sent me The Measure, which I'm still sticking with that being an ugly cover. Everyone wakes up one day and they have a box on their doorstep, and inside is a little piece of string, and however long the string is, that indicates how much longer you're gonna live for. Everyone thinks it's a practical joke, but it winds up being real. And so everyone starts living their life based off of how long their strings are, and it's about the chaos that comes with that, blah, blah, blah. It sounds awesome. Everyone seems to love it. Thank you, Heather. I am stoked about this. Next, I bought A Life on Our Planet by David Attenborough. Going back to my roots about reading wildlife and nature stories comes the wildlife and nature man himself, David Attenborough. If you don't know this man, I don't know what you're doing with your life. I don't understand how you've lived your life. I don't understand you at all. Google David Attenborough if you haven't. He is an incredible conservationist. He's a wildlife activist. He's 96 years old, or he was when he wrote the book at least. And he's been working his whole life towards helping wildlife, helping with conservation efforts, trying to save the planet that we are on. And this is just the latest in his line of books books that he has written. He's an incredible person. He also narrates so many of the documentaries that you've seen on Animal Planet or Discovery or wherever. And he's got that great British voice that you could recognize anywhere. Trust me, even if you don't think you know who David Attenborough is, you know who David Attenborough is. Next, I also got one biography, one autobiography. The first of which is a biography about Dave Grohl, who I've been in love with since I was a child. I bought this like 2 days before his recent scandal came out, so I don't know how to feel about that one. I'm just gonna put it over here. And next is called Acid for the Children, and it's a memoir written by Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who has lived a very chaotic life, from a childhood and young adulthood dealing with addiction to young adulthood through now of dealing with the intense fame that comes along with being a member of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. His dreamy, jazz-inflected prose makes 1970s and 80s LA come to gritty, glorious life. And I love anything that's set in LA also, because I'm, you know, it's my home. Then I got Game of Thrones from a thrift store. I found this edition in a thrift store for like $3, and I've never read Game of Thrones. So I figured, you know, $3, I have to do it. I have to read it at some point. Oh, I'm sorry, $4. It was $4. So now I have Game of Thrones. I'm not gonna explain, you know what Game of Thrones is. And then the last 3 are books that I got for Christmas. My boyfriend got me Quicksilver by Callie Hart, which is a thick bitch. I am reading it very soon. And apparently it gets pretty slutty too, so that's great. My mom got me an even thicker bitch, Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. And this is because I made her read my favorite book that I read in 2023, which is Piranesi by Susanna Clarke. And so she figured if I loved that, then I'm definitely gonna love something else by her. And she's probably right, but holy shit. That's about 900 pages. Mr. Norrell has magic. He raises a woman from the dead and summons an army of ghost ships. He's a magician. He is challenged by another magician. Okay, so they're having a magic off, a duel. They're doing Magic Fight Club. Thank you, mother. I love you. Very last one, also from my mom. I opened this and burst into tears. and let me tell you why. For Christmas last year, I bought my mom a book called Steve and Me, or My Steve, which was written by Terry Irwin, who, if you don't know, Terry Irwin is Steve Irwin's widow. She's an incredible person. She has kept the Australia Zoo going after his death, as have his kids. Anyway, she wrote a biography talking about her life with Steve before he passed. And I bought my mom that book last year for Christmas. And then this year, I opened a gift from my mom, and it was the same book. And I started laughing, and I was like, I'm gonna give her shit for it and be like, oh, do you not remember? Do you not remember that I bought you the same book? Different cover, but the same book? And then she starts laughing at me and she goes, oh yeah, open it. Open the front cover. And I opened the front cover to see that it is signed by Terry Irwin. It is signed by Mrs. Irwin herself. And my mom won this in an auction for me. And I burst out sobbing. I was sobbing on Christmas. I don't want to understate to you how much Steve Irwin meant to me as a kid and now, but as a kid when he passed, I was so devastated. My mom let me stay home from school for a whole week. He was like a second father to me. I was and am still so deeply entranced by that man and his love for wilderness and nature and conservation and keeping the planet and the animals on it as safe as possible. And so the fact that my mom found a book for me signed by his beloved, I lost my shit. I fully lost it. And that's it. That's the end of the story. And that's the end of the video. We're done. 63 books over 6 months. It's not as bad as it looks. 10 books a month is not bad, especially someone like me who is obsessive. So that's it. I, surprising no one, have been sick again. I'm filming this like 3 days later than I wanted to, so I'm gonna try and get it all done as fast as possible so I can get it out to you good people. And that's it. Let me know what books you got for the holidays. If you got any good books for Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever it is you're celebrating in your household, let me know. If there's any good books, I mean, I don't need to make my TBR any longer, but I will. Like I will. That's it. I need to shut the fuck up. Okay. I love you. No, that's not what I say yet. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, thank you so much, so much for being here. I love you so much. I hope you have an amazing week, an amazing month, an amazing year, and I hope I see you really, really, really soon. Bye. Nope, I'm not making the same mistake I made last time. So like adventure. Small exploration crew. I'm too tired for this. Small exploration crew who recently the one pack's personal, helping a victim of helping a victim of